Tanya Puri, where truth hides, she finds it.
I think ever since I was a kid, it was never my plan to become a detective.
Okay.
But I always had one in my house, my father.
Yeah. As per your understanding,
Yes.
what are some, basic key skills a person, a detective or a private investigation personnel needs to have?
I think the first one would be very high observational skills.
Okay.
Second would be patience. Third would be to actually mingle up with the crowd and never make an effort to stand out. Because the minute you do that, you're not a good detective because somebody can spot you. So it's always about being a part of the crowd yet doing your work silently. That's very important. So we don't really seek for somebody who is extravagant, loud. That's not how things work when you're a detective. So these three are definitely my top three skills. And also not be in this profession for any drama. Be in this profession to take the fact out for the truth, because when we're working for people, they're not just stories for us, they're actually their lives. So I think that is very important, that don't just get into the profession because it sounds exciting. It is a lot more than that.
Tanya Puri, where truth hides, she finds it. Today on our podcast, we are joined by someone who has changed the face of private investigations in India. Tanya Puri, the force behind Lady Detectives India, a path-breaking detective agency led by women for those who seek truth with trust. From Delhi to Dubai, Mumbai to Melbourne, her agency has solved hundreds of cases ranging from pre and post matrimonial investigations to high-stake corporate undercover cases. So tune in as Tanya shares the real stories behind the shadows and what it really means to be a lady detective in India. तान्या, आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है हमारे शो पर.
Thank you. Pleasure.
सबसे पहले आई वांट टू नो आपने पढ़ाई क्या की हुई है?
So मेरा background mass comm and mass media है.
Okay.
I did it from a college in Delhi University.
Okay.
मैंने undergrad उसमें करी है. I think I was always very inclined towards people, their stories. So that's why I got into journalism.
Okay.
I studied that, and eventually I think वो काम बहुत अच्छे से आता है अब इस प्रोफेशन में, because they're very interconnected. It is always about not just what people say, but what lies behind, and even journalism is like that. So I think मुझे वो काफ़ी help करा.
Okay. So you are the CEO and looking after Lady Detectives India.
Yes.
When I was going through your profile, you look so young, but you have, dearth of experience.
Yes.
So how did it come about? Why did you become a detective from a journalist?
I think ever since I was a kid, it was never my plan to become a detective.
Okay.
But I always had one in my house, my father.
Yeah.
And उन्हें देखकर I realized over time कि मैं उनसे कितनी similar हूँ. My observation skills, or my perseverance or patience about things. I was never judgmental about things. मैं बहुत fair lens से हर चीज़ देखती थी. और मैं उन्हीं के जैसे थी और हर कोई मुझे ये बोलता था. But I think eventually around 2008 में ऐसा हुआ that he was dealing with a case. और मैंने उनके साथ बैठ के मैं उन्हें सुन रही थी और मैंने उन्हें बोला that आप ऐसे क्यों नहीं कर लेते? My papa was, slightly surprised, and he said, how are you telling me that this could be done? So I said, I can tell you more if you are interested. And he literally gave me a piece of paper and he said that, write your outcomes or what you think should be done with this case. And I wrote a paper front and back. And उनके पास आज भी वो paper saved है because it meant so much.
Yeah.
And it also made him realize that I also have a keen eye for this. So eventually, that's, I think the very next day, he took a domain for my company. And it was literally a gift to me and for my skills, because he said that I'm not just doing this because you're my daughter, but because you have the same skills that I would look for in somebody running a detective agency. And that's where it started.
So, follow-up question to this. As per your understanding,
Yes.
what are some, basic key skills a person, a detective or a private investigation personnel needs to have?
I think the first one would be very high observational skills.
Okay.
Second would be patience. Third would be to actually mingle up with the crowd and never make an effort to stand out. Because the minute you do that, you're not a good detective because somebody can spot you. So it's always about being a part of the crowd yet doing your work silently. That's very important. So we don't really seek for somebody who is extravagant, loud. That's not how things work when you're a detective. So these three are definitely my top three skills. And also not be in this profession for any drama. Be in this profession to take the fact out for the truth, because when we're working for people, they're not just stories for us, they're actually their lives. So I think that is very important, that don't just get into the profession because it sounds exciting. It is a lot more than that.
It's a great takeaway also, because it's saying it's not about the drama, it's about somebody's life.
Yeah.
So, what are the different services you're offering?
We offer premarital services, investigations, post-marital, and corporate as well. We mainly now dabble with premarital investigations because those cases are on the rise. And they've actually been on the rise for the last few years because so much has come in social media, long distance relationships. So I think when that comes in the picture, people themselves are not very clear that do they know all the truth or not. And then parents step in where they know nothing about the person their daughter or their son is getting married to. So those cases are definitely on the rise, and we deal a lot with premarital investigations.
पहले ज़माने में जब कोई रिश्ता होता था तो इंक्वायरी कराते थे, ऐसे बोलते थे इंक्वायरी कर लेते हैं, they will go to their neighbors or whatever. You think the future is verified marriages? आपको लगता है कि लोग, बिकॉज एक बार आप एक डिटेक्टिव के पास जाते हो या प्राइवेट इन्वेस्टिगेशन करने वाले के पास जाते हो आप, तो ऑफकोर्स बहुत डिटेल्स निकल कर आती हैं
जी.
तो आपको लगता है फ्यूचर में ये एक नॉर्म सा बन जाएगा?
ऑलरेडी बन चुका है.
अच्छा.
ऑफ कोर्स, आई मीन आई थिंक लोग आजकल सिर्फ इसलिए नहीं कराना चाहते कि उन्हें कुछ डाउट है, वो अपने आप को प्रोटेक्ट करना चाहते हैं. वो चाहते हैं कि वो किसी झूठ में ना बंधे आगे, उनकी लाइफ सिंपल चले, जो वो चाहते हैं उनको वो मिले. सो आई थिंक इट इज़ अ लॉट अबाउट दैट. बहुत केसेस हमारे पास आते हैं, किसी को कोई डाउट नहीं होता, दे जस्ट से हमें एक बैकग्राउंड वेरिफिकेशन करके दे दो, हमें बस श्योर रहना है दैट हम जिससे शादी कर रहे हैं उसके पास वो सब है जो हम चाहते हैं. सो ऑफ कोर्स इट इज़, एंड विद द इंक्रीज इन सोशल मीडिया इट डेफिनेटली विल गो नोवेयर. प्रीमैरिटल केसेस विल बी ऑन द राइज बिकॉज आई थिंक डबल चेक करना आपकी खुद की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है आपकी लाइफ की तरफ, सो इट विल हैपन फॉर श्योर.
And you think that people who are already into a relationship, maybe, boyfriend, girlfriend,
Yes.
they also get verifications
A
done?
lot of them,
Yeah?
surprisingly, a lot of them. They have been in relationships for the last 8 years, 10 years, but शादी इतना बड़ा स्टेप है, फैमिलीज को इन्वॉल्व कर रहे हैं, तो उन्हें लगता है देयर इज़ नो वे कि हम सिर्फ अपनी जजमेंट पे चले जाएंगे. वी नीड सम सॉर्ट ऑफ वेरिफिकेशन. एंड कुछ लोगों की गट फीलिंग उनको कहती है दैट रिलेशनशिप में तो है, आई डोंट नो अगर ये अच्छी हस्बैंड या वाइफ बनेंगे. सो आई ऑलवेज से दैट नेवर इग्नोर योर गट फीलिंग. इट इज़ ऑलवेज टेलिंग यू समथिंग. सो यू डू हैव टू टेक सम प्रोफेशनल हेल्प बिफोर दैट step, that big step.
Have you ever solved such a case?
Yes.
Let's hear.
Very regular, in fact.
Okay.
In fact, मैं आपको बताती हूँ, it was very shocking for us and our team. हम on the regular ऐसे cases के साथ deal करते हैं, but that outcome was very shocking. There was actually a girl who was getting married to a guy. They had been in a relationship for about 7 years.
Okay.
And बहुत प्यार था, सब कुछ ठीक से चल रहा था. अब जब उस लड़की ने अपने बॉयफ्रेंड को फैमिली से मिलाया, तो लड़की फादर सेड दैट बहुत परफेक्ट है सब कुछ, और मुझे कुछ गड़बड़ लगती है क्योंकि आँखों में बात नहीं करता डाल के आँखें, और स्टोरीज़ बनाता है, तो आई डोंट थिंक दैट ही इज़ द राइट गाय. आप मुझे एक बैकग्राउंड वेरिफिकेशन करके दो. जब हमने उसके ऊपर इन्वेस्टिगेशन की, पहले हफ्ते में, पहले 10 दिन में ऐसा कुछ नहीं निकला. एंड देन इवेंचुअली वी फाउंड आउट दैट वो अपने कॉलेज कि एक लड़के के साथ इन्वॉल्व था. So he was actually in a same-sex relationship. Now, we are no one to judge, and so we did not. But at the same time, the shocking thing was that it was a well laid out plan, a deceitful plan. It wasn't कि बस हो गया, you know. इट वॉज समथिंग जो वो इतने ज़्यादा एफर्ट के साथ उस लड़की से छुपा रहा था पिछले 7 सालों से, एंड दैट इज़ वॉट शुक हर टू द कोर, हर फैमिली एंड इवन अस. We couldn't believe that something like this could also happen. कि societal pressure में, obviously, he just wanted to get married to that girl, make it all look perfect on paper, but he was also not ready to let go of that relationship with that boy. He said, I cannot, I am in love with him, तो मैं वो नहीं कर सकता. Obviously, that alliance didn't go through. Their relationship broke. The girl and the boy never ended up getting married. But it was very shocking for us.
You're giving me goosebumps.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I have too. And at that time as well, we had, because our team just couldn't believe something like this could happen, you know. So it did.
How critical it is for women to get into this profession. So there has been a detective in your home.
Yes.
The professional is already there 24/7. You're hearing, you're understanding.
Right.
But you being a woman, how difficult it was?
I think my difficulty started with my age at first.
Okay.
Because people considered, of course, since I'm still very young, and I was young when I started this, people did not take me seriously. They always wanted to call and say, give the phone to the real boss, aap kaun hai? You know, I would go for meetings, and because of the way that I would look, some people would not take me seriously. And I always explained, it is really not about how one looks, but what work they do. So eventually, over time, you know, even with the men in the field and the more people I met, I showed them that I had the skills, and I had that, you know, in me to make those connections, and it was much stronger than most men in the industry. So I was able to do that. Over the years, I've shown results. My company has a very reputed image, and it comes from the trust that the clients put in our work and in me. So I think होता है ना कि पासा पलट गया कुछ सालों में, and people started to actually wanted to talk to me. So they would say कि कोई lady है. So that purpose of this company, which we started because we wanted to give that representation to women to be confident and call us and say that this is what I demand out of my life, and I need you to investigate. You know, so that came about, and I think eventually वो struggles हट गए. Yeah, so I think शुरू में मेरे साथ ये था. For other women, obviously, it also is for my investigators. It is also a lot about security, about them feeling safe, because when they're on the field, they are as equal, like they're equal to a man who's working on that field. But there's always a danger lurking around them because they're women and they're working in metropolitan cities जहाँ पे ऐसे cases बहुत होते हैं. So eventually उसके लिए भी हमने धीरे धीरे करके उनको और empower किया, and I think that is the purpose of my company really. So that's what helped.
Rinki, it's not always about the truth. It's always about guiding people.
100%.
You know, so
I think
which is a complete
I'm
package.
Not, I'm not working to fix lives, right?
Yeah.
I'm working to actually guide them to the right path.
Yeah.
And so counseling is a big part of it. I also do it. My dad does it. My mother got involved at a later stage with him. But my sister is in a completely different world and profession. She's in Sweden.
Okay.
Yeah, so she works with the H&M group, and she's their marketing controller. So she always had a very different vision for her life. And but yeah, the three of us are involved in some capacity here.
Tanya, there's a sea of content, sea of social media out there.
Right.
Everything is just about social media. And people are out there. Initially, they were not out there. So how tech savvy is your company? Because there is something beyond that also where you need to find out.
Yes.
So
see, I think a very important thing that I must put out, for every detective agency and on behalf of them, we do everything that we can to uncover the truth, but it has to be within the realm of our work. It has to be within the protocol. So a lot of times, people would come demanding for phone records or for things online. We do not do that. That is not something that's a part of the process, basically. And we always say that even if you put the most most money you have on the table, we're not going to take it, we will not do it. So that is out of the picture. We do help people, understand the truth and get to the truth by monitoring people's outdoor activities. Now, that might look and sound simple. It is not. It obviously depends on how alert our team is and that they're trained for, and how much patience they have to get to the truth, because there are difficult situations in those cases, but then we get to it. We eventually get to it because our purpose is to find the truth and to work our minds. That's what we are doing. In terms of tech, I think what actually has happened on the reverse of it, that people who are cheaters and people who are doing wrong have found a way to hide it better because of tech. Earlier जल्दी सच बाहर आ जाता था, बट अब लोगों के different profiles हैं, different identities हैं. We actually did a case where this man was living a completely different identity.
Okay.
His wife just had a doubt that maybe he is in an affair with another woman. But what we actually uncovered was he had a complete separate family, kids, everything, and a different identity. He was not even of the same religion with that other person. He had curated all of this so well that he had different LinkedIn profiles, he had different identity for the where he was and where he is with this wife. They were just two different people, all curated. Now that obviously could happen only because of the internet and technology, जो बहुत साल पहले नहीं हो सकता था. बहुत साल पहले लोग सिर्फ मिलने जाते थे, होटल्स में मिल लिया, छुप छुप के इधर उधर मिल लिए, पार्क्स में बैठ गए. उस टाइम पर तो डिटेक्टिव का काम relatively easier ही होता, but अब obviously tougher हो गया है. But even after, despite all of that, I feel that क्योंकि आपकी टीम उस तरीके से able अगर है, तो आप सच तक पहुंच तो जाओगे. So we have been able to get past that, even if technology is on the rise, we are able to get past that for sure.
So if somebody wants to learn how to investigate, do you also train them?
We do. Okay. In fact, in my team, there is an ex-housewife who's not a housewife anymore.
Okay.
And her drive to do this was insane. She just wanted to get into this to empower herself. She said, I'm not built for, a regular 9-to-5 job. No disrespect to that. People have to have skills for that as well. She said, I don't have skills for that. And I read about you and I kept researching about you and I thought I want to join you. So we did train her for a period of about 6 to 8 months. And that also is never a complete training. You can only be fully trained when you're on the field.
Yeah.
So we did that. But what attracted us to her was the fact that as a housewife, she had that logical sense. She had that in her to solve problems. She was always the center of that household, and she would always be the one solving problems and just quick on her step, and she would do it. So I think for us that was a very important, interesting thing. So we do train people, sometimes fresh out of college, sometimes in roles like these, sometimes people who worked for many, many years but couldn't find themselves, so they eventually come to us that this is what we feel is our calling. So we do that.
So how do you manage your network globally? I feel that your presence is almost in all the countries.
Yes.
So like it would have been really difficult to spread that kind of a network. How did you do that?
Yeah. I think even now laws outside are much stricter.
Yeah.
So are they here, right? That is why I'm talking of protocols and about everything we do. But outside is much stricter. Like in places like Dubai, very difficult to do any kind of investigation. So, it just can't happen just like that. Versus, let's say, a place like Canada, the rules are much similar to India. So that there we could do it. It actually depends on every country, but we do have our team, a network there, and we only do as much as allowed. We don't really go beyond any of that. Some places we can only do inquiries. Some places we are able to do activity watches. So it depends on where we are working. But now it's been about 14 plus years of us operating, and slowly we are expanding our networks to different countries as well. So we are trying to understand their laws. We are also, working that we could have better laws in India for us, for more representation, for more clarity. Because I think even when clients come to us, they'd say, "Arey, but ye to stalking hoga," and we have to explain that there's a thin line between stalking and actually gathering proofs, and we are doing the latter. So I feel, eventually we are expanding our network, but slowly and steady. That's what we're doing.
तो आपको धमकी कितनी बार मिली है?
एक बार मिली है Yeah, एक
Tell us
बार
about
मिली है
that.
because I think मेरा काम उस तरीके का है that I do handle more premarital cases और वहाँ पर the scope of somebody giving me a धमकी or me being on the field to have that kind of danger is very less. But at the same time, I do remember that we did this premarital case only.
Okay.
And the girl's family gave us the case, and the guy was from a good influential family और उनके against काफ़ी चीज़ें निकली, the frauds that they had committed and things that they were doing wrong, and we exposed that. So the girl's family obviously decided to abandon the marriage and say that no, we're not going to go ahead with it. The boy's family got to know because the girl's family kind of blurted it out, when they were talking about it. And I remember that in one of the evenings, and I've shared this before, that I was cornered and said that आप औरत हो, अपनी limit में रहो.
My God.
And that was the time that I did feel, I have to be honest, I did feel in danger. I felt threatened, and I felt I don't know what the next moment for me holds. But then I am my father's daughter, and he has very deeply ingrained this in me, that this work that we are doing is for better good. It's for stating truth, and that will always be there. So I said it's okay, just damn this thing. I'm a woman, and I'm going to show them that this is something that I do very proudly. So nothing happened after that, but it is one incident that's also very deeply set in my mind.
Let's talk about the younger generation now. They're not just getting it. They are drinking, doing drugs, just sleeping out, and also want people to trust them.
Yes.
Would you like
They're
to
actually
share?
very defensive about it.
Yeah, they're very defensive, and they're very proud of it also. Have you had any such cases where it has been shocking for you also solving such younger generation cases? Let's hear.
I think one of the cases that I remember would be that there was a girl, and she came to us, and she said that मुझे इस लड़के के बारे में investigation करानी है. It was a premarital case. Everything looked very good on paper. He was from a respectable family, good manners, very kind. Eventually हमें ये मालूम चलता है, and very young boy, mind you, he was in his late 20s, I think around 28.
Okay.
And it was a young kind of marriage, and they liked each other, and that's how it happened. It wasn't like through an arranged marriage system. When we uncovered, we got to know that boy, along with a lot of other so-called family members, was running this kind of racket where they would, get girls to get to marry them, reach pretty much the final stage, get gifts in names of tradition, get all of these things, and eventually not marry. And she was the 10th or the 15th girl who, yes, and they were so young, but in order to earn money, in order to reach that stage where they felt like, oh my God, we're so cool that we're able to do this happened, and this used to happen, and we uncovered that for that girl, and she was in shock. So of course, so were we. But it was basically this marriage
Scandal.
सब फेक था. कोई फैमिली रियल नहीं थी. The father was not real, mother was not real, the siblings were not real. They were all actors, theater actors.
My God.
Who were doing this, just to get those expensive gifts. क्योंकि लड़के की फैमिली है. ट्रेडिशन के नाम पे बहुत कुछ मिलता है, आज भी मिलता है. सो इट्स नॉट अ वर्ड दैट्स टॉक्ड ऑफ ओपनली, बट प्रेवलेंट तो है सोसाइटी में. सो दैट्स हाउ दे रीच्ड. दे यूज्ड टू रीच ऑलमोस्ट फाइनल स्टेजेस कि अभी 6 महीने बच गए शादी को, 2 महीने बच गए, कुछ भी रीज़न दे के तोड़ देते थे. दैट्स व्हाट वी गॉट टू नो. यंग किड्स, यू वुड नेवर बिलीव दैट दे रीच दिस स्टेज बेसिकली.
तान्या, ये तो हम एक मेट्रोपॉलिटन सिटीज़ की बात कर रहे हैं, maybe a place like Gurgaon or a Delhi.
Yes. Metropolitan cities definitely have it higher. because people in metropolitan cities have means to hide those.
Yeah.
They have means to, there are all kinds of stratas there, from middle class to the very rich, and they have means to hide their cheating behavior, their illicit relationships. They're doing everything to hide that. They're very confident about it. They have these 9 to 5 jobs outside working in big MNCs. After that, what happens? None of the people at their families, in their families get to know. They're just like, अच्छा काम कर रहा है बेचारा, कितना hectic काम है, या oh उसको तो काम है. There are a lot of women into it also. A lot of people think that it's only the men, but women are also doing it. Statistically, it's shown that women are doing it more, but actually, let's say it's an equal thing. It's an equal percentage, I would say. Not more women or men, but metro cities mein 100% the cases are on a rise.
So, for example, somebody is going in for a divorce, and of course they are into the courts. Do the courts reach out to you? Do the lawyers reach out to you?
Lawyers reach out to us for their clients, yes, and they do ask for proofs that would be liable in the court.
Okay.
So we make that effort, and we also tell the clients always that we can only do what we can as an investigation agency. Eventually, it's about the lawyers' ability as well to prove it in the court. But yes, we do get connected, because especially we're dealing with so many matrimonial cases. So people want proofs of their husbands or wives cheating, about their work. A lot of people ask for maintenance and they're still working outside. So they do need that proof as well. So they do come to us.
Okay, now follow-up question to this. Before going in for a divorce for a couple, you think it is advisable to first get things done from you, because you as an investigation officer maybe can make things work for them?
Yes, I would say that we actually work in order to collect the proof. And I have said that before, that I'm not working to fix your life, right? I'm just working to gather proof and to give you that support that you need in order to reach that decision in your life. And so a lot of people, in fact, I would advise it as well, but a lot of people do come to us, to gather that proof. They already know a lot of things, but they want proof to be able to file for a divorce. They want it to be able to tell to their husband or wife that this is what I know the truth, and now you cannot cheat me anymore. So that's very common for us. People do. It's unfortunate, but yes, when because they would not go to let's say a police officer, or an IB. They will not, right? Because उनके पास तो और तरह के काम हैं. They are not really sitting here to work on your personal cases, and that's where we step in. That's where they would come to us and they would ask for that evidence. So we work on that evidence for them.
Yeah, I saw a section onto your website, Lady Detectives India, where you also do a lot of counseling.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So I am into pre-marriage counseling.
Okay.
And my work there is actually to again guide people to get to the right decision, to choose a partner for themselves basis their own habits, lifestyles. And that's something that people really miss. They would not look at those things because they're looking at the complete package saying, oh, लड़का तो बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, बात बहुत अच्छे से कर रहा है, पर आप ये नहीं देख रहे हो that वो शायद फैमिली का eldest son है, आप फैमिली के youngest daughter हो, you're the pampered child of the family, and वहाँ पर जो expectation है that you'd come into this role and you take on all the responsibilities, क्योंकि आप तो बड़े बेटे की बहू बनने वाले हो, right? People ignore these things, and I feel that how could you? It's a lifestyle thing. Marriage is not just about love. It's about respect, responsibilities, about actually living the truth with that person. You're not in a fantasy land. So we actually end up telling them about that. And we help them to guide and get to that level. My father does it too. And very interestingly, my mother is also into this profession. Wow. Yes, she does counsel. She's the director of the company, so she does. And I think it's been something that we have always wanted to work towards as a family as well. And so we do it,
So this is very interesting. लड़की अगर सबसे बड़ी है तो उसको छोटी बहू बना के नहीं लेकर आ. And it clicked me today when you said कि people ignore such things.
They do.
Yeah, and these are very valid points to make your marriage run.
Some people would come to us and they're in branded clothes, top to bottom.
Okay.
And they're getting married to somebody जो इतनी simple life जीता है. He's a good man. You know, good is also subjective. He's a good man, but such simple life. You know, he would not care about shopping so much. He would not care about wearing those things, but it's so important to you. So I tell them, what can you not see? You can see that you'd have to make a lot of compromise. And sadly, compromise is a word that's been attached to marriage since forever. But now it's changing. You know, it was more so earlier because women were not working, but now they are. And I feel that you have to, it's not about you cannot adjust. Of course, for people you love, sometimes you make small adjustments, big ones. But it is also about not feeling too small in a marriage. If you're constantly going to be bothered by, oh, you shouldn't shop, oh, you should not eat this because this is too expensive, you know, eventually you will feel very small in that marriage and you'll not feel in love. So that's an important part of when we counsel people also, to reach the right step, to have the right mindset before getting married. I think that's important.
Yeah, very well said, Tanya. You've been in this industry for a while now. How do you keep your emotionally detached from any XYZ case? I'm sure because you're so much talking to the person.
Yeah.
Like we also get very emotionally attached to our clients.
Right.
आप कैसे करते हो?
I think शुरू में ज़्यादा होता था. I have cried with the clients, or after, you know, I heard a case or some outcome wasn't, you know, good for the client. And I've also had places or times where I would feel very sad. I would just be so low because I would say, oh, why cannot this person, you know, be more loyal to this woman? She's such a wonderful lady. Eventually, I understood that I have to be empathetic but not involved, you know, because that's the only way that I would solve a case, or I would get to the truth of the case without bias. Because when you're emotional, you're also judging the person who's done wrong. So I think that's not fair, because that's not how I will get to the facts. And that again is something that I've learned by looking at my father, and through my own experiences. My own experiences have taught me a lot. So I always feel that I have to be that person who's this person in the middle, you know, between, let's say, a husband and a wife, who helps the person feel more empowered by the truth. Now, whatever the truth is, they have to understand that that's perhaps for the good of their life eventually. And it does not come very quickly because they're obviously distraught when they listen to that. But mera kaam facts pahunchana hai, and I have to be truthful to that purpose in my life, you know. So that helped me feel more detached. I won't say that I don't care. That's not the truth. I do care. I'm empathetic, but from a distance, because I have to understand my role. You know, it's greater than any relationship.
Yeah.
So I do that. I do that with utmost honesty. Yeah.
I think this is wonderful. Tanya, what do you think, as per your understanding, is the biggest spoiler in a marriage? Is it the phone?
Phone is a big thing. I feel, so I'm married too, and my husband and I are very aware of each other's passwords. People could say, उसमें क्या है? वो तो आप कुछ भी छुपा सकते हो. It's not about that. It's about the intent. It's about the intent from the beginning. It's about, you know, how you don't want to hide the basic things from the person, that आप कुछ नहीं भी कर रहे हो, but some people are so protective of their phone, about the content they'll watch, about the things they'll talk about. Why? You know, and second is obviously trust and respect. And communication. Communication is so undermined. People don't pay importance to that. They never talk about it when they're talking about love or relationships. But how can you not, you know, if you're able to communicate your difficulties, the things that you're finding difficult in the marriage or relationship, I think it can become a smooth sailing. So I feel like respect, communication is such a big thing, and of course not hiding passwords. I mean, I find that extremely dishonest, and I feel that you don't have to do that, you know,
if you're so truthful. And
yeah.
So when people in the household say that, okay, we need our space, you know, so that is also very intriguing for me, you know, why you need your space. There is space.
Yeah.
You know?
You take your space wherever you have to. Space is essential for a marriage.
Yeah.
Space doesn't have to mean ignoring your partner. Space
Yeah.
doesn't have to mean not telling the truth to your partner because you feel that अब ये बोलेगी या अब ये ऐसे बोलेगा. It's okay. Those difficult conversations or those, moments where things might seem not so rosy are a part of a relationship and communication and a marriage.
Very nice.
So I feel that obviously I do my best to practice that in my own relationship as well, and that's where this comes from. And I feel people ignore that, and people have so much sense of self, they take it in the wrong way. Your sense of self should stem from self-confidence, should stem from self-love, which is doing things that you really like to do, but that does not mean at a cost of your relationship or ignoring your partner. He's a very important part, or she's a very important part of your life. You've chosen that part. So now you cannot think that I need my space. So then go somewhere and don't be married. People choose not to be married, not to have kids, because they want that and they're very clear about it. But if you have had that, you have a responsibility towards that person. So that's
Wonderful.
important. Yeah.
Any high profile cases that been a shocker for you when you were young also, and you were just getting into this? Share with us.
I think there was this high profile case where the man, he was a very big corporate. He was at a big corporate position, and he had a wife and a grown-up daughter who was, I think, in her 20s. And the wife always felt he was detached, but she could never point a finger as to why. And then they get to know that he's involved with his own personal assistant. He's gotten her a really expensive flat in the society right opposite to theirs. And they were at a very high, very good location in one of the metro cities, expensive, one of the most expensive real estate. So he got her flat in her name, and he got her a really nice car, everything, so that the wife and the daughter can just never know. He would always just go to the next building, not very far. So every time the wife would say, "Where are you?" And he's like, "I'm just on my way. I'll be there in 5 minutes," all of that. He had planned an entire life for his own pleasure. And I feel that when the wife actually got to know, because she did put an investigation, she hired us to have an investigation on him. She was shocked because she said that this girl would come to our house, would sit with us and say, "Oh, Bhabhi ji,"
Oh my God.
things like that, because she always was made to be a part of this, that, oh, she's just a friend. And also if he would go visit her, थोड़ा काम था ऑफिस का, सो हम लोग बस बिल्डिंग की उसमें बैठ के, लॉबी में बैठ के बात कर रहे हैं, ओ हम इस होटल में चले गए बिकॉज हमें क्लाइंट से मिलना था. आई वॉज ऑलवेज फॉर प्लेजर, एंड इट वॉज वेरी सैड बिकॉज ही वॉज नॉट इवन गिल्टी अबाउट इट. ही हैड दिस सच अ हाई प्रोफाइल इमेज. He everything got to know, and he said to his wife, "Keep shut about it. I don't want this truth to come out anywhere. Here, take this money," the money that he would have had to probably spend on an alimony if they were to get divorced, but then his image would get disturbed. So he just gave her that money, and he's like, "You enjoy your life with this, let me enjoy mine." So it was all under the carpet, even after the truth was known. And that's a very common thing with high profile cases.
My God.
People just don't. There was another case where the husband would really disturb his wife in bed, would force himself on her, would do a lot of these things which is so unethical, would do drugs, everything, and he just wanted to have his own life, would cheat on her. But the wife was always given gold jewelry, diamond jewelry, credit cards. Just keep matters under wraps. You cannot talk about it. We are a very high profile family. We have a reputation to maintain. So she did. Until Monday, she just couldn't hold it. And then she had to give up. But yeah, I mean, this is very common, unfortunately.
And I think we all somewhere like to ignore many, many, many things.
Yeah.
When even in our second families, if you come to know, you'll try to be quiet about it.
Yeah.
Before we go on to your rapid fire, what is that one line between, invading somebody's privacy
Right.
and investigation? What mantra do you follow?
The mantra we follow is that we do not cross that line. Now, when we're investigating a woman, especially, we get the partners to sign an agreement, a letter of authority. You cannot just get an investigation on a woman just like that. I'm sure there may be people who might be doing it. We have it very clear that we don't. Second is that we don't provide pictures or videos as proof, as in just like that, because you want it, to see where she's going, what is she doing. That's not helping your case. So we are not going to give that, because that definitely counts as stalking. You cannot be doing that. We only give photos and videos as proofs when there is proof. That is, that if she is with some other man or some other partner, or a man is with some other girl, etc., so that could help the case. So that is actually a very clear understanding in our company, that we don't cross that line. And again, like I said, nothing to do with anything online or phones. That's a very clear, strict no. Anybody who would come to us, the first thing we do, because we always double check who we're taking the case for as well. It's never about just quoting an amount and saying, okay, fine, we'll be able to do it. We also need to understand that who are we taking the case for? What is the purpose? That's a very important point. People miss that, unless you know and you get to the background of the case, you get to know of the details, you cannot possibly just take the case because it sounds lucrative. That's not what we're here for. So we always arrange for meetings in a head office, or we do video calls, especially to know who we are basically speaking to. So that's very clear for us. That's one mantra. We keep it transparent, and we go to we find details. We don't just take up things,
And I think that's very ethical, because it's very important also,
right,
to you as an organization,
right,
following some policies, which is
right,
very important.
Right.
Okay, Tanya, let's do your rapid fire now.
Yes.
Spy gadget you can't live without.
Mobile phone. those are 100% the most useful for our investigators.
Most
and
dangerous also, and what? Most.
Of course. And now with technology becoming better, the cameras becoming better, it's really not about getting into some sort of spy gadgets that nobody would know of. People know so much, and there are obviously gadgets that I will not be able to disclose. But I think if I can't live without one, that would be the phone.
Great. Most thrilling part of your job: chasing, decoding, or disguising?
Decoding, 100%, because that is what actually gets you to the truth, and that makes your mind work, right? So decoding.
Okay. One myth about detectives you would love to bust?
We do not wear trench coats. We do not have those microscope glasses, to get into the depth of things. It's all in our brain. So I don't think any movie like Badshah would ever do justice. That is not a detective,
Okay. Favorite Bollywood detective or spy movie?
I would say I was very intrigued by Kahani, this movie that had Vidya Balan in it, by Sujoy Ghosh. I think that was very interesting. Such an interesting sequence of events and how the truth unfolded. I really love that movie.
One case that still gives you goosebumps?
I think it was about this man who wanted to investigate about his wife. They had been married for 6 years, and they were from Bangalore. And the wife was working in a different city. The husband would not visit her very often. He would always say, I need to take care of my aging parents, so I'm going to live with them. I'm going to come, to you, and all of that. Eventually, we got to know that they were living separately, basically, and the wife would also be like, okay, let me do my job, I'll also not be able to come to you. That the wife was actually traveling all this while, that she would tell to him that I am working. She was traveling. Husband caught it one day, and he thought, oh, maybe she has an affair with somebody else. Got to the details of it and realized that she would go to, with this group of girls to have coffee, apparently, but they were all lesbians, and they were basically going to these parties in cities like, metropolitan cities. There are clubs there where parties are thrown for same-sex relationships and everything, for people to have fun. So she was doing a lot of that. In 6 years, they had been married for. So it was so shocking, because eventually, again, it was so easy to hide it for her. That was the shocking part again. You know, she was so deceitful that she just didn't want it to come. And, you know, her parents were very aged. They did not know anything. So I think that was one case that one of the very first few cases I got when I had started working, and that just blew our minds.
Who are these people, yeah? If not a detective, you would be?
A writer.
Okay.
I always have a penchant for stories,
Okay.
for, you know, just getting to know more people, write about people. So I think I would have been a writer.
Any one case which turned out to be paranormal? Have you ever experienced such a thing कि आपने investigation तो करी लेकिन वो कुछ और ही निकल के आया and it shook you?
एक केस ज़रूर था विच इफ़ आई कैन रिमेंबर क्लियरली, बहुत डिटेल्स क्लियरली याद नहीं है मुझे, बट लड़की की फैमिली आई थी हमारे पास लड़के की इन्वेस्टिगेशन. उसकी मोर देन द लड़का ना, उनको फैमिली के बारे में इन्वेस्टिगेशन करनी थी. दे हैड मेट द फैमिली 2-3 टाइम्स, राइट. उनको कुछ अजीब लगता था उस फैमिली में जो मदर थी,
अच्छा,
जो लड़की की मदर इन लॉ बनती. शी वॉज too observant, and she would really, like, you know, she would manipulate facts, and she would not say things very truthfully. उन्होंने कहा आप लड़के को छोड़ो, इस लेडी के बारे में पता करो. और जब हमने उनकी इन्वेस्टिगेशन की, हमें मालूम चला एक छोटी सी बड़ा डिजर्टेड सी जगह थी, वहाँ जाती थी, राइट. वहाँ पे एक पंडित होता था, उसके साथ बैठ के वो मंत्र पढ़ती थी, ब्लैक मैजिक करती थी,
My God.
यू नो. एंड शी हैड फोटोज ऑफ दिस गर्ल जिसके साथ शादी होने वाली थी लड़के की. एंड शी वुड वांट टू मैनिपुलेट फैक्ट्स, यू नो, लाइक जब आप ब्लैक मैजिक करते हो तो आपको ऐसे लगता है कंट्रोल आपके पास है टू एक्चुअली चेंज थिंग्स अबाउट दैट पर्सन. सो वो बहुत ये सब करती थी. एंड इवेंचुअली दैट वाज समथिंग जो हमने सोचा भी नहीं था. हमें लगा था ठीक है, कितना ही, यू नो, मे बी कुछ सोच अलग होगी या नहीं चाहती होंगी कि इस लड़की से शादी हो. बट शी हैड वेरी शी हैड इल इंटेंशंस टुवर्ड्स दैट वुमन, एंड शी वाज ऑलवेज ड्रेस्ड अप इन अ सर्टन वे वहाँ जाके, और मंत्र पे मंत्र पढ़ती थी. बाहर आके शी वाज अ रेगुलर लेडी वेयरिंग हर कॉटन साड़ीज, यू नो, गोइंग फॉर इवेंट्स, talking to people to maintain that brilliant image of such an intellectual woman, whereas there was so much that went beyond that.
My God, you're giving me shockers, you know. मतलब लोग करते हैं ये सब.
100% ये रियलिटी तो है. हम तो बाहर लेके आते हैं, बस रियलिटी ही है ये सोसाइटी की, and which is so scary, but it's the truth.
What is your one last message to everyone?
My one last message would be, do not ignore red flags. If your gut says something, go by it. Come to us, take our help, you know, do not let things slide under the carpet, because it is so important to be empowered by the truth, and that's what we are here for. So I hope I'm able to help more and more women as time goes by, and they can confide more, you know, in other women helping them out.
And what is your one message to that woman who wants to ignore with happiness those red flags and want to be with it?
आई थिंक शादी हो जाएगी, आप आगे तो बढ़ते रहोगे, बट वो सक्सेसफुल नहीं होगी. एंड आई फील दैट टू लिव विद दैट बर्डन of knowing the truth yet ignoring it is so big. It just plays havoc with your physical and mental health, and I don't think any woman should be going through that.
So any case that has been around old people or, you know, senior citizens, let's say?
There was a father who was 70 years old.
Okay.
और उनके बच्चे जो थे, उनके सन को स्पेसिफिकली कुछ ऐसा, वो विडो थे. द फादर वाज, यू नो, ही डिड नॉट हैव हिज वाइफ, एंड बहुत साल हो गए थे, आई थिंक अराउंड 10 years. बट द सन फेल्ट कि ये रोज़ घर से तैयार होकर निकल रहे हैं, यू नो, ही वुड वेयर रियली कूल टी-शर्ट्स, वेल टू डू फैमिली, कैप, कैरी अ बैग, एवरीथिंग. एंड द सन वॉज वेरी इंक्विजिटिव कि कहाँ जा रहे हो आप, आपको क्या मतलब, यू नो, ऐसा क्या शौक चढ़ गया आप 70 साल में. एंड ही वॉज वॉकिंग वेल एंड एवरीथिंग. तो ऐसा नहीं था कि उनको कोई सपोर्ट की ज़रूरत थी. इवेंचुअली उनके इन्वेस्टिगेशन से हमें ये पता चला दैट लोअर क्लास की एक लेडी थी जो बेसिकली उनके घर पे जो हाउस हेल्प थी उससे रिलेटेड थी.
Okay.
यू नो, हाउस हेल्प ने उस आदमी को उस लेडी से इंट्रोड्यूस किया था,
Okay.
बिकॉज उसके इंटेंशंस आदमी के थोड़े से ऐसे ही थे that they were not very pure, let's say. तो he met with that lady और वो उससे मिलता था, एक हाउस हेल्प से, ठीक है, बाहर मिलता था, उसके साथ टाइम स्पेंड करता था, उसको कपड़े दिलाता था, सब कुछ, मतलब उसके ऊपर पैसे फेंकता था कि नहीं मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है. And that also translated to him getting physical pleasure from her because वो लोग होटल जाते थे, होटल में पकड़े गए. What was even more shocking was that the girl, the daughter of that same woman, was also involved with this man.
My God.
Half the age. And she was also, because that woman just wanted to make money, so she pushed her daughter into it. क्योंकि एक बार हम उनकी होटल से निकलते हुए इन्वेस्टिगेशन कर रहे थे और हमारी एक्सपेक्टेशन तो यही थी कि वो उस लेडी के साथ निकलेगा, ठीक है, हम सन को बता देंगे दैट आपका तो फादर का इससे रिलेशनशिप है. वन ऑफ द डेज वो बेटी भी साथ में बाहर निकली, मदर नहीं थी, बेटी थी. And that was something we had not expected.
Yeah.
He was a 70-year-old man. After a certain age you do expect,
Yeah.
and फिर बेटे ने और चीज़ें फादर्स के अनकवर की, तो उनके बैग में कॉन्डम्स, वाइग्रा, सब कुछ था. एंड आई फील दैट मतलब उसने तो सोचा ही नहीं था कि इतना सब कुछ होगा. So that was a very different case that I had taken up in, again, early years of my investigation.
जब आप रात को सोते हो, आपको नींद में ये सब आता है कि आप पीसफुली सोते हो?
पीसफुली सोती हूँ क्योंकि मैं तो ट्रूथ का काम कर रही हूँ, मैंने कर दिया. उसके बाद आई हैव अ फैमिली टू गो बैक टू, आई हैव माई रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज देयर, सो माई स्लीप्स ऑलवेज पीसफुल.
सो व्हेन यू आर सॉल्विंग अ केस तो दिमाग तो बहुत चलता होगा?
उस टाइम ज़रूर चलता है. उस टाइम अनईजीनेस भी होती है दैट आई होप यू आर एबल टू डू जस्टिस टू द क्लाइंट्स एंड आई होप यू आर एबल टू गेट टू द ट्रूथ एक्चुअली. एंड थैंकफुली वी हैव ऑलवेज गॉटन टू द ट्रूथ एंड दैट्स व्हाई क्लाइंट्स हैव ट्रस्टेड अस सो मच. तो आई थिंक उस टाइम जो भी है वो आई थिंक अ पार्ट ऑफ द प्रोसेस है, बिकॉज योर माइंड कॉन्स्टेंटली वर्किंग एंड इट नीड्स टू. अगर आपका दिमाग चलना बंद हो जाएगा तो आप केस के डेप्थ तक पहुंच ही नहीं पाओगे. सो दैट्स इट.
वंडरफुल. ज़बरदस्ती शक मत करिए, पर अगर आपको ज़रा सा भी शक है तो ज़रूर तान्या से बात करिए.
100%.
Her details are available on the podcast. It's available. She has a great website. Go ahead and talk to her. And I'm sure she'll be able to counsel you first before taking up your case. She will understand why you need to do it. And Tanya, it was a great podcast. Thank you so much.
I had such a lovely time. Thank you. Thank you so much.